Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Jerry.
Take our whole process and our journey to get your patch, but still had to get the whole thing in.
Yeah, so once you switch over, you're just a prospect in the Bandidos.
Yeah, that's right? It. Exactly. You know, basically use the support club as your baby factory for moving up. So then you know if that dude's got a set of nuts or not. You know he's going to hold water. Is he going to do his job? Is he going to be a true brother? I'm not saying everybody's got to be a tough guy. Not everybody's got to win every fight. But is he going to be solid? I can call him. He's going to come in the middle of the night. Hey, brother, I'm broke down. Get out of bed instead of saying, oh, man, I'm my old lady and kids. You know, you're just on the side of the road.
That tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly. Find out who that cat is. You know, and the more he's around, if he's around for 2 to 5 years and going to everything, you're going to get to know that person, know his family, know his kids. No, that's how I feel. You know, for me, I had to go and get a whole stack of signatures of presidents from chapters that I went to their meetings while I was to get my San Antonio. I spent 3 weeks there going to all the different chapters because there's about 15 of them. Then I went to Austin. Then I went up to Dallas. Then I went out of state Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Nevada. I went to all of them, South Dakota, and had to get all my signatures before I could get my.
So you got to meet all of them, all
the presidents. I had to go and sit with them, talk to them, get to know them, as a whole list of them. Not every chapter, but damn, but it was a load, brother. It was a load.
Did you see other people? Did you see other people getting in faster?
There were some guys that got in faster than me, or had whatever process they went through. You know, I didn't. And there were some guys that I saw them once, and then next time I seen them, they were patched. I don't. It was kind of strange to me because my deal with my president at the time told me I had to make all 5 runs, I had to make all the signatures, I had to do all this and all that before I even think about patching over, getting my patch. And I did all that. I did all the runs, did all my shit. I mean, everything I had to do to a T, but that was my journey. Everybody's journey is different. But yeah. I feel that's how you get to know, do they actually want it? Do they actually understand it? You know, just like with us, once I got my patch, prospects that were coming up, I would sit down with them and I would talk to them. And the ones we had for us, I made them make sure they knew how to change the oil, make sure they checked the air pressure in bikes before we left for a run, all that. All the little, you know, I'm not saying to be a master mechanic, but know how to check the oil, know how to make sure the air pressures are good in the tires. That's your job. Make sure we're safe.
Yeah.
You know, but I think all those things, they've gotten lost in the wash. Everybody got worried about having numbers. They got worried about, oh man, look, we jumped another 150 members. Well, yeah, and out of that 150, 2 of them's worth a fuck. The other 148 ain't worth. So I'll take the 2. You hold the 148, and I'd be happy. You know, it's just.
Have you seen like some members that don't know how to ride a bike and things like that?
No, you definitely have to be able to ride to be a bandito, and that's one thing I will say. You have to be able to ride, and you have to be able to understand how to ride, and that's never an issue. But the biggest problem is they don't understand the brotherhood. They don't understand what they're getting into. It's just not joining a club. Like when I joined the club, my brother should call and tell me, "Hey, I got a problem with my child, or I got a problem with my son. This happened." I'd be the first one on the bike on my way. You know, and you know, just like we talked before, I never understood the whole thing. If I show up at a brother's house and he's not home, it could be a brother I've known for years, and his old lady tells me to come inside and just wait for him. Nah, that I'm going up the street to the gas station. I'll let my brother know where I'm at. When he gets home, I'll be back over. You don't go sit on that man's sofa and disrespect his castle with his old lady walking around, because that's one thing it would drive me nuts. I tell the guys, don't do that. I said, because all you do is put yourself in a trick bag.
Have you seen situations where people have been messing with other people's old ladies and things?
Oh, 100%. All the time. Which and I would just straight up tell them, you're a scumbag. You're a piece of shit. Oh, man, you know, you can't talk to me. I can talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Don't be a piece of shit if you don't want to be called one. You know? But I bet I was taught that way. I don't know any different. And I guess that's the problem is if you don't play the game, you get along, you get set to the side. And that's where the problem is right now with I think it's all clubs. You know, I think just the narrative of being a biker isn't the same. It's not we're doing this because we want to. We're, brothers. We're gonna have this group. We're gonna have this camaraderie. It's us. But that anymore, all they care about is numbers and because it just doesn't make no sense to me.
In the flexing thing, we're the baddest on the block.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not the baddest on the block. Because I'm here to tell you, there's some bad motherfuckers out there that don't wear a patch. You know, the other problem is, like with, I'll use the Mongols as a situation. They take straight up street gangs and patch them in. Some of them never even rode a motorcycle before. They drive cars. Outlaws, I heard, used to do the same thing. I can tell you, as far as me being inside as a bandito, I can tell you the banditos never did that. That never happened.
No street gang members.
There was no street gang shit. You actually somebody had to sponsor you. Somebody had to actually speak for you to even be brought around. So that much of it, when I was in the club, stayed the same. It was just taking whole groups of, like, basically a support club that just started up, say, a year ago. All of a sudden take all their members and patch them over
to full patch members.
Yeah, from as a support club. And I understood the philosophy, what they were trying to do, because they were trying to build numbers. But at the same time, if that support club was solid, you already had your numbers. They're red and gold support club. That's why their colors on their patch was reversed from what a Bandidos is. They were red and gold versus the gold and red, but they're still your support club. So they're your numbers, and there was a little more support guys than there was bandits.
Yeah, the Bandidos have a lot of support clubs out there, right?
Loads. And you could build off there. When I was in the support club, we tried to make it where we could kind of have an association among support clubs to build a defense fund, to build a fund for people getting in an accident, somebody gets sick, we can help their family, and we got shut down.
Jail. Someone goes to jail or something.
Yeah, and so and at that point, we have money set aside to help with all that. They shut us down on it. They wouldn't let us do it.
I think they probably didn't want to do that because they don't want them to get too powerful.
That's exactly what they said. What you just said is exactly what they told us.
Yeah, because then they could say, you know what, we're going to do our own thing.
Yeah, and then that's exactly what they told me. And I said, I understand your philosophy on it, but you also look at my side of it. If we got 4,500 support members across the United States, break that up into 3 or 4 regions, so if somebody can control that region, and we all pitch in $10 a month, I said, we'll have a defense fund like you ain't never seen.
100%.
We'll have we'll have money for medical like you ain't never seen to help somebody. I said, that's where I'm looking at it from. A brother goes down, what happened? Hey, dude, he can't pay his rent, can't pay his mortgage, can't pay this. Dude, send that dude $10,000 out of the or give us the number to the mortgage company, pay his mortgage payment, pay this. There's a way of handling it. That's how I was looking at it, is how do we help the guys? Now we got support guys that are tied up with the bandits in a fight like Waco. There was a lot of support guys that went to jail in Waco.
Yeah.
Well, those guys were on their own to figure out their money. Well, the support guys had their own set up association. We could have handled and helped them brothers. And at the same time had extra money to help the bandits, because there's so many of us.
The support clubs pay to be support clubs for the Bandidos, right?
No, you didn't. You never had to kick up. You just had to always help out. They had a benefit going on. You'd buy chicken plates, or you'd buy raffle tickets, or whatever. But no, there was never. When you're a support, you didn't have to kick it up. And I told them, dude, put us on a $5 for each one of us and put it in a fund, and you guys hold it. I said, well, that was my whole thing. At the end of the day, I was just trying to figure out a way that would help us. Yeah, we fought that for a while, and they shut us down. But to me, it made a lot more sense to have the finances that we needed along with the numbers. And to me, it secured the support club guys from being, kind of skittish about, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to fuck my family up. At least you could help a brother out.
The Beasts were a support club for the Bandidos at one point, weren't they?
People say that. I never saw that. And I never saw them as far as on that angle, that they were friends, but they never had they weren't support, like some actual support colors.
Yeah, I've heard people say, oh, they were doing stuff for the club and this and that, but Did you
I
know?
heard the same thing out of Houston, but I couldn't. I never saw it, but they definitely were never an actual red and gold support club.
Did you ever see anybody? Because I've done a lot of interviews and I've talked to a lot of club members, and some of them are telling me about how they seen certain members stealing money from the club.